All right, all right. So let's see, it's a few more minutes. Jay, I'll tell you what. Let's go ahead and get started. I do want to give people time to join, but I also want to be respectful of everybody that was on at 9 o'clock. So,
Right.
Jay, you ready to rock and roll?
Yeah, yeah, I'm ready if you are.
Let's do it. Okay. All right. Well, first of all, guys, I want to welcome you out again. Jay, you say something?
No, no, I'm sorry. I was just clearing my throat, brother.
Okay. Yeah, I want to welcome you guys out tonight for our final training for making the brand. This is the final free training before we dive into the 4 week course. All right. So, just some house cleaning stuff, and I will be out of your way. You can talk to the man in an hour. I will be monitoring Instagram for Jay Carter's page and also for my page. So if you would go ahead and tag Jay Carterology or tag AJ Joyner on Instagram, I'll get your questions over there as well. We appreciate you guys sharing. Our hashtag for tonight is hashtag making the brand. I will also search questions via that hashtag. All right. All right, so what's going on tonight? Just want to before we get going, we're gonna find out, who Jay Carter is, lessons learned, and things that he'd like to share to help you guys out as you start out in growing your brand and turn it into a nationwide,
Hmm.
hopefully nationwide or however big your vision is worldwide, right? It might be universal. So however big your vision is, he wants to share with you things that he learned, going from an idea with the One Music Fest to the raging success that it is today. All right. And at the very end, we will be remiss to not have an offer for you to join the 4 week course, but we will talk about that a little bit later. So right now, before we get started, I want to give everybody, that one last chance to take a picture of the screen. Also, if you have any opening questions, now is a good time to just go ahead and start typing your questions in. Anything you want to know about growing your brand, about sponsorships, about promoting your events, learning the ins and outs of all those different things, attracting sponsorships, putting together pitch decks. All those questions are fair game tonight. All right. So make sure you get your questions in, and we're about to do this. All right, Jay, you ready to do this?
Yes, sir.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, if you would just go ahead and type clap in the chat window. We're going to do a virtual round of applause. I love technology. Some things you can't do online, but we're going to try to make it work. All right, there you go. Claps. Oh, wait a minute. Someone says I lost my sound. Can you guys hear me? If you can hear me, go ahead and type yes, I can hear you. Yes, you can hear me. Okay. All right. Let's see. Latoya, can you hear me now? I want to make sure that you guys can hear Jay when he comes on. If you okay, looks it sounds like everybody can hear me. So we're gonna bang this thing out tonight. Get all your questions answered, and we'll let you guys have the rest of your Tuesday evening back. Is that all right? All right. Without any further ado, ladies and gentlemen, Jay Carter.
We still haven't updated that picture. Uh, so good evening. Good evening, everybody. I appreciate you guys coming out. I know it's a odd day, odd time, Tuesday, 9 o'clock, but I do appreciate you guys joining us tonight. Says a lot about your ambitions and your thirst for knowledge. So hopefully, by the end of this evening, you all can walk away with something that you didn't know prior. So just a quick intro. This won't be anything too lengthy, but uh, was born and raised in Harlem. Um, at a and from Harlem, I actually made our migration to Atlanta. Actually, it was in high school. My father got a promotion with his job, and we all kind of picked up and moved to Atlanta. And you know how difficult that must have been for a kid growing up in the thick of Harlem, and your father and your parents are telling you that you're moving to Stone Mountain, Georgia. So that was rough. But before we even get to that part of my life, I'm going to talk a little bit about I guess my personal makeup and how actually how what I'm doing today actually started at a very, very young age without me even knowing what I was doing. And that is the phrase that you can actually hear me say a few times is you really don't know what you don't know. But just like tons and tons of kids, and when they were in elementary school and growing up, they had small little hustles, be it if it was a lemonade stand or baseball cards. Mine, just like many others, was selling candy. I had like a little enterprise. I started in like third grade. I went to a private school in the heart of Manhattan, but growing up in Harlem, so there was many things that I saw that my peers had. And it was a predominantly Jewish private school at that. And many things that they had, they were more, I guess, they were better off than I was. But being that, there were things that we had in Harlem that they didn't have in their neighborhoods, and I used that to actually create my little mini enterprise of pushing candy to kids in school. I realized that, y'all may have your Twizzlers and M&Ms and all that good stuff, but y'all ain't got the lemon heads and the watermelon now later that we get in the hood. And so that was a novelty to these kids. So, so quickly, I realized, even though, my situation was very different from theirs, there was things that I actually had access to that they didn't. And how do I use that for my betterment? And so that was crazy that's, how my wheels were turning then. And then I didn't know what I didn't know and how that would manifest into other things. But upon moving to Atlanta in high school, didn't really know a ton of people. I had my little inner circle when I first moved to Atlanta. You have those 3, 4, 5 friends that you kind of kept close. And that was my crew. But, I was 15 years old, didn't really know a whole lot of folks. But then moving to Atlanta, for my birthday, I said, you know what, Mom, Pops, I'm going to throw a crazy birthday party. Kind of my introduction to Atlanta for my birthday. 15-year-old kid, wanted to do didn't know a huge amount of people. But I wanted to throw a party. And being that my father at that time worked for Xerox, we had access to copy machines and Xerox machines. So, me and my little cronies, we just rolled up to Xerox, made a ton of flyers, and just blanketed the school. The day of the party, we damn near shut down the entire subdivision. It was crazy. I had no idea where all these kids and all these folks came from, but they came. And again, you didn't know what you didn't know, and I had no idea how that would manifest into something that I'm doing, 30 years later. Well, 25 years later. But, it was using the resources around me to figure out how to best position myself to kick off this big birthday bash that I wanted to do for my 15th birthday. New kid in town, let's kick it off right. So that was actually my first taste of promotions and doing events. And from Atlanta, upon graduating, I attended Florida A&M. And, just like everybody else, you go to college thinking you're going to do one thing or pursue one type of field or pursue a career doing something. I thought, I had the gift of I was good at debating and pushing my point across. So I always thought I was going to, be in some type of law before even going to college. But upon getting to college, that was something that really, really, truly didn't interest me at all. And I just wanted to kind of study business, but didn't know what I really wanted to do upon graduating college. But, I had 4 to 5 years to kind of figure that out. So, in college, I think it was my junior year, a friend of mine actually came to me and said, he wanted to produce a movie. I said, a movie. Like, what the hell do we know about movies? You know, with sophomores and juniors in college, and at this time, folks still had VHS. I'm really dating myself, but he, he's like, School Days came out a few years back, and he's like, you know what, man, like, we need a real movie that talks about the roots and the guts of black college life. Not people singing and dancing and talking about light skin, dark skin, and tap dancing around the salon. Like, School Days was cool, but he thought, we all kind of thought it was a little fluff. So I said, hey man, you write the script, I'll help you push it. We'll figure it out. We'll put together the moving parts. Once we get to that point. But I didn't think he was going to do a script one, and then and if he was to do that, I'm certain we could figure something out to kind of move the needle and push it forward. So I would say about 2-3 months later, he came back and said, yo, Jay, I got the script. So I looked at the title. The title of the script was Chocolate City. I said, oh, Chocolate City, okay, all right. So we read through the script. The script was damn near 300 pages long, and in Hollywood, like, a page is considered a minute. So I was like, bruh, ain't nobody gonna sit through a 300-minute movie about black college life. So we found something like an advisor to kind of chop it down, look at it, edit it. And at that point, once we kind of, took out all the fluff and the fat, and we just had the meat of it, we thought it was ready. And so it was the next step, like, how are we going to raise money to shoot a film? None of us had no money. So being resourceful, we actually said, let's create a club, a sanctioned club, of Florida A&M club. And if we do that, we are open to money and funding from the university. So that was our idea. We said, all right, let's start something called the FAMU Cinema Club. So in starting FAMU Cinema Club, we was able to get some funding from the school that helped kind of jump and kickstart our program. And with that, we also gained access to a couple of film students at FSU, and were able to start using their equipment and got them for little or nothing to help us shoot this thing. So, I mean, lo and behold, it probably took us about 3 months to actually shoot this film. The actors were people that went to, they were students, regular students. Nobody had background experiences. I don't know if anybody's in film or production, but the boom mic was literally a microphone that was taped to a broomstick, and we held it over people's heads. Like, truly, I mean, this was grassroots, bottom up. Let's hustle and see what we can do, and let's see what we can create. Again, we didn't know what we didn't know. So, lo and behold, we shot the film. Our homeboy worked for the news studio in Tallahassee. So we actually went up to the news studio at 2 o'clock in the morning and editing film. When I say news studio, I'm talking like Channel Alive, 10 p.m. news. Like, he was a producer, and actually, I don't even think he was a producer. I think he was like more of an intern, but he had the keys. He was up in there at 2 o'clock in the morning editing film and tape. But once we completed it and kind of put it all together, we actually had a feature-length 2-hour film that actually did not look half bad. So we premiered it at school. A bunch of folks came out, and at that point we said, we may have something here. So we hustled it to movie theaters. We called movie theaters and asked if we can view we were paid to actually view our film, to have our film premiered at different theaters around Florida. And we promoted it and marketed it internally ourselves. We sold out every show in Florida and every show that we had in Tallahassee. And at that point, we then tried to push it to the Black Filmmakers Foundation, the Creative Artists Agency. Mind you, we're 20 years old and don't know anything about the film industry. So we literally just picked up books and phone books and yellow pages and just started calling, because there was no true Google or internet or web pages that directed you in the right direction. We had to kind of just figure it out as we went. So we actually got invited to do a showing at the Creative Artists Agency, CAA, in Hollywood. They called us at random and said, we'll host a screening, which was amazing. And that was all done through hustle. And this is, again, 20-year-old college kids, knowing nothing about producing films that, shooting an entire film on 16 millimeter and 8 millimeter. If y'all know anything about film, y'all know that is, I mean, that's some gritty stuff. And after that, we actually got a distribution deal. And by the age of 21, we had our movie distributed in blockbusters nationwide. And I only tell this story because we were 4 college kids that truly didn't know what we didn't know, and we made it happen the best way we knew how. And those guys actually are still producing films and have gone on to produce some of the biggest, I guess, urban produced movies in Hollywood, and I'm sure many of you guys are familiar with them. Their names is Rob Hardy and Will Packer. Those were my first partners, actually, in any business. And upon graduating, they decided to stick with films. They were doing some real smaller type films, and I decided to kind of branch off and test and play in the music and production and brand marketing arena. But I only tell that story to just kind of reiterate that anything is possible. I'm looking at the slide. So AJ, are you still there, AJ? I think I lost AJ.
I'm here. I'm
So,
sorry. I had my microphone muted.
okay. So no, I just want to make sure that I'm on track here. So
No,
lessons learned.
And so the backstory is awesome, and I see a few questions here. But before we start taking the questions, I just wanted you to share, because that's kind of what we wanted to talk about. Like, there are so many things that people learn as they experience new things, right? So, for example, even with you sharing your story about, you guys hustling to get your film produced and to, get a distribution deal. And it's all based on what you said earlier. You guys didn't know what you didn't know. However, if you had to do it again, now you actually know a few things, right? Even if you had to turn around and do another film in college, you would have learned lessons from the first time you did it, right? So
Right.
that's kind of what I want to, and I'm going to get to your questions, guys. Believe me, I'm going to get to all your questions. But that's kind of what we wanted to talk about. What are some of the lessons, now that it's over a decade later, and you've done, tons of different things from soul fusion to some of the biggest, events here in the city, up to the ONE Musicfest and including owning your own nightclub or co-owning it. What are some of the lessons? And that's kind of what we wanted to talk about. So I think one of the first things you mentioned was taking inventory. So what do you mean as it relates to growing a brand or growing an idea into a brand? What do you mean when you're telling people to take inventory of themselves? Could you expound on that a little bit?
Yeah, that's something that you and I talked about before, but it's really taking self-inventory in yourself. And when I say inventory, I'm like, you really got to know who you are, and you really got to know, what you can actually sacrifice. Um, and when I say inventory as well, is the thing that the venture that you want to set off and kind of conquer and or that one thing that keeps kind of just pressing against you. I mean, is it a passion project? Is it a hobby, or is it truly a profession? Is it something that you truly want to do? And I only say that is because if it's a hobby, you know, you have to be a very blessed individual to make a living off doing a hobby. And a hobby, sometimes you just stay exactly where it is as a hobby. But if it's something that's just kind of that's itching at you and it's keeping you up at night, it's that one thing that that you're daydreaming about when you're sitting there at that stoplight or sitting in traffic or in the shower or wherever you may be. But that one thing that's always popping at the forefront of your mind that you say, you know what, man, now's the time. I need to do this. You know, that's something that's a passion project. That's something that you really uh, you know, if if you had the opportunity to do it, how much would you sacrifice? When I say sacrifice, it's financially, it's emotionally, it's mentally, it's spiritually, it's within your relationships. Like there's things that you sacrifice to get to certain points in your life, and and that's okay, because you do have to shed some weight to move forward often, or you do have to put in a certain amount of time and effort to get the results that you truly want. So in taking self-inventory, you really kind of got to do the Ben Franklin, split it down the page and say pros and cons. This is the pros of pursuing this. This is the cons of pursuing this. These are my strengths and these are my weaknesses. This is how much money I have in the bank, and this is how much money I need to raise. This is how much time that I need to put forth into this project. But I know my old lady ain't really gonna go for that. But it's taking that type of inventory and seeing if how bad do you really want it. And once you kind of take that self-inventory and you say, I would throw everything up against the wall to make this thing happen, then you're ready. You're truly ready. And at that point, once you go from that self-inventory, you then have to go through a true evaluation and analysis of your idea and of your project. Um, because, and I hate to say this, but every idea is not a great idea. I've had some ideas that just didn't pan out. I thought it was great, but maybe I didn't do my due diligence and research, or I didn't put enough effort behind the push. But for whichever reason, it didn't work. So really analyze your ideas and evaluate your ideas. A crazy person don't know they're crazy. You know what I'm saying? Until you kind of see yourself. I mean, they don't. So. Nobody thinks they're a little quirky or off, until somebody kind of puts that camera up and they play the film back. It's like, oh yeah, I was a little crazy. So it's the same thing with ideas. A lot of people don't believe that their ideas are crazy, but some ideas just ain't gonna cut it. So when I say, taking a true analysis of it, not only talk to your friends and your peers and in your group, like. They're always going to kind of rub your back and say, oh, that's a great idea. Go for it. Oh, my baby can sing, girl. You can sing. But that's not always the case. So I would say take your idea to people who you respect and people that really owe you nothing, and talk to them. Talk to them about it. And so many times we have some ideas and we're so scared to share it. We keep it so close to our chest, and we only talk to a couple of people about it. But you ain't gonna grow no business only talking to 2 people. That ain't happening. So you do have to kind of open up. You have to drop your guard. You have to expose yourself. And you got to take a true get a true analysis and breakdown of this idea. You got to get a focus group outside of your immediate circle and ask some people about it. Is it something that people would pay for? Is it valuable? I mean, are you who are you servicing? Who are your clients? Who are the people that would buy this or support this? Is it solving a need? Is it solving a problem? And that's something that a millionaire told me. He said, you want to know how you become a millionaire or a billionaire? You got to solve $1 billion problem. I was like, oh, shit, there it is. So if, for instance, I know a multi-millionaire that developed a banking software system. he in working for finance, he realized there was a glitch in the system, and they've been using the same system for decades. It's like, why we keep doing the same dumb things, getting the same dumb results? So he developed a software system. A couple of banks kind of brought onto it. Then another bank brought on. Then a big name bank brought on. And before you know it, somebody was like, we need to adopt this. Everybody needs this. And his check looked ridiculous. And now he's going on to help spawn other businesses, develop other businesses, fund other businesses. But that was his story. He solved a $1 billion problem and became a multi-millionaire. So, but again, everybody can't always sniff out the cheese and find those $1 million, $1 billion issues. But that idea you do have, who's your consumer? You gotta truly figure it out. So I mean, are you, is it opening up a nail salon? You may not get, but 1,000 people through your door annually. And that's your customer base, and that's fine. That may be what you want to do, and there's nothing wrong with that. But but have a realistic understanding of what your brand can be and what it can become. That was one thing about owning a club that that I loved and that I hated. Sugar Hill, was my club that I had for close to 5 years. And there was a need for that. There was not a venue in Atlanta that allowed artists to perform in front of 500-600 some odd people on a weekly basis. And when these artists like your Erykah Badu's or your John Legends, Jill Scotts, and everybody from Gil Scott-Heron to Bootsy Collins, when these folks was in town, like, where did they go? Where did they go to get on stage and rock out and perform with dope musicians and artists? So that was something that we fulfilled. Like we fulfilled that need, and these folks, and they came and they patronized the venue, and we had some of the most amazing moments in Atlanta music history happen at Sugar Hill. But this is the thing that ate me up, is that Sugar Hill was contained within 4 walls, so it could never be bigger than the 500 people that attended that event, unless you brought in a film crew and filmed everything live for television. But that wasn't happening. So I could only be that big at Sugar Hill, or it could only be that big at Sugar Hill, and that's when the wheels started turning about. We need a bigger stage, and that's when ONE Musicfest and everything we was doing with Sugar Hill and Soul Fusion. I was like, we need to change gears, man. There is no urban festival that caters to aggressive urban music. That gives you the multi-stages and the merchants and the food and the discovery and the culture. There's nothing like that. Everything that we have is one stage. You bring your cooler out and your fruit plate, and you're sitting on your blanket for 5 hours looking at one stage. But it would all be the same type of general music. If it's a funk fest or whatever, yeah, you're gonna get your Mint Conditions and your R. Kellys and your SWVs. But what about your Big Crits and your Kendrick Lamars and your Mellaroots and your Erykah Badu's and your Scarface and internet, like foreign exchange? Like, where do these people go to perform and be around each other? Like, where does that happen? I was like, well, that's some bullshit. So there was a void in urban culture that nobody was trying to or wanted to fulfill. So we could have sat back and waited for it, but we said, you know what? We can do this. Why not us? Why can't we do this? If we're going to sit around and wait for Live Nation or AEG or whomever to put this together, it ain't going to happen. I don't think they care enough about the culture to try to make it happen. So we took it upon ourselves. So again, we definitely did kind of analyze, like, is there a need for this? Do Black people want to go to festivals? Or do we like sitting on our towels with our fruit trays and our coolers and our little mini grills watching, Frankie Beverly? So, or would we rather have that mini Bonnaroo experience or Governor's Ball experience or Lollapalooza experience, but listening to our music, you know. So the biggest thing with that, I mean, it was such a learning curve that we didn't, and that was something that where we dropped the ball. We didn't realize the learning curve of of the urban culture as far as giving them a platform like this to listen and to celebrate and you know, music, you know, because typically we'll quickly pay $80 for a concert ticket that lasts 2 hours, but for some reason, if you put 19 artists on a bill and give them 12 hours of music and say it's a $60 ticket, it's like, oh, I don't know, if I can do that, you know. So that was strange. That was a strange kind of hump we had to get over for a second, like that transition, or that teaching of or trying to teach your people and your community and your culture that there's a different way you can appreciate and celebrate each other and our music, and it took us 5-6 years to get to that point, but it was worth the journey, you know. So and I'm sorry, I know I digress some. So I would say things that I have learned the way that I would definitely pass on is take inventory of yourself. Be real with yourself and really kind of break down, you know, if you personally can make this idea, this vision, this dream, this brand, if you have what it takes to make it grow, because the most valuable thing that you have outside of knowledge is your time. So, you know, and if you don't want to put forth, you know, months and years into something that you're just going to just kind of just drop and walk away from. So really take self-inventory and really kind of do a self-analysis to see if that's something that you can and want to do. And if you're willing to take those sacrifices, you know. Also, you know, have those uncomfortable focus groups with folks that you may not really know that well, that may have some background or some information or knowledge of the industry or the idea that you may have, and share with them. Well, and it doesn't even really have to be somebody in that industry. It could be, you know, just somebody successful, you know, and just share the idea, share the thought. You know, if you're scared they're going to steal it, you got to get over that, you know. And I'll tell you one thing, like successful people, you know, if your idea is totally left of what they're doing, more times than not, they're not going to stop doing what they're doing to totally jump off track and just steal your idea and do it without you. You know, so don't be scared to talk to people about your ideas, because, you know, crazy people don't know they're crazy. So if you're crazy and you're talking to yourself about your idea and you think your idea is great, then you may run into some issues. And then, you know, so, and with that, I would also say, you know, take, you know, really do a pros and cons list, and hopefully the pros outweigh the cons. You know, do a line down the page. Do your pros and cons, your strengths and weaknesses, and that's probably the last and final thing I would say, AJ, is put the right people around you, and that's going to take some time. It's going to take some frustration, some yelling, but you know, you have to know who you are and your strengths, but more importantly, I think you really start to grow when you can come to grips with your weaknesses and know where you fall short. And where you fall short, you need to find those people that believe in what you're doing, or believe in your idea and concept, and you need to grab these people and pull them in, and get them involved. So, you know, your team is very, very important. And it took us years to kind of piece this thing together, and we're still piecing it together. But I would say our nucleus, our core it's pretty solid, and they're great at what they do, and we all complement each other. We scream and shout like brothers and sisters, um, but we're all pushing for the same goal, and that's to grow the brand, and to push the culture. So so really come to grasp with your weaknesses, and start finding these people around you, and you'll be surprised. I think a lot of those people you already know. A lot of these people you already know. Um, and you know what? And Tony, if you got a quick second, I want to tell a quick story about that, about how these people around you, um,
Hey, Jay.
how yeah. I mean, it's and this goes back to when I started Soul Fusion in 2001, two. Um, when we first started the event, it was about. And if you're not familiar with Soul Fusion, I know we have people on the line from multiple various cities and states. Soul Fusion was an event that I created that actually kind of birthed everything, honestly. But I created it because, again, there was a void in a certain type of nightlife. I wanted to experience nightlife when it was all types of different people, ages, backgrounds, colors, hues, whatever, and where we do just celebrate all different types of music, be it if it's disco, rock, reggae, deep house, funk, top 40, club anthems, whatever. Like the way we listen to, I mean, that's how we listen to music. I mean, if we also look at anybody's playlist in their phone, I'm sure it's from 80s to, it could be from Bon Jovi and Michael Jackson to Jeezy, so, but always in the club, you always just heard top 40s. You never really heard just the whole gamut of everything, and also see all the different types of folks. That was the real basis, and the reason behind Soul Fusion, the event. So, the first couple of events we threw, I mean, it started with 20, 30 people, 50, 60 people, and 100, and 200, and then within I would say within about 4 to 5 months, we had 600, 700 people at an event. And it was crazy. It just kind of really organically grew. And there was one young lady that I saw often at these events. She was cool. Always, we were very cordial to each other, taking shots, getting drinks, laughing, high. Had no idea what she did. And one day she came up to me and said, you know what, I want to get my brand involved with everything that you're doing in these events. I was like, well, what are you talking about? Because again, at the time, I had no idea what brand marketing or what sponsorship was. I said, what do you mean your brand? Like who? Like you? Like you personally? And she's like, no. I work for Heineken. I said, oh, okay. Well, I drink that shit regularly, so this should work. So she was like, well, no, I really want to get the brand involved with your event. And I was like, well, tell me what that means. So she told me that that the brand would want to sponsor the event, and my question to her was, what would make for the perfect relationship? And that was the question that opened up the gates, and let me at that point realize and understand that brands need other brands to speak to other people for them. And I was like, I get it now. Okay. And that's when the light bulb went off. And I realized that Soul Fusion not only was an event, but it can also be a cultural voice and also a brand marketing engine. And at that point, the entire business plan and idea flipped. It turned. But again, this was someone who I had casual conversation with on a weekly and monthly basis at parties, sitting by the bar, having random conversations, and then this comes about. So you don't know who's watching you. You don't know who's around you. So that's why I'm saying, so many times we want to hold our ideas so tight to it, close to our chest, and doing that, you you're not going to be able to win like that. So don't be scared to talk and share thoughts, share ideas with folks, man, because you never know who who will end up being that star player on your team, or who can take you to the next level. So
All right. So,
those
Jake,
are
got a few questions here.
go
Uh,
ahead.
this question comes from Latoya Dwight. Latoya says, at what point do you recommend launching a brand?
At what point? Well, I guess that has a lot to do with your assessment. I mean, launching a brand, that's tough. It depends on what the brand is. What do you do? What are you looking to do? Is it a service? Is it a product? Is it an event? Is it a person? So it really depends. But I would say you only have, and this is so cliche, so I apologize in advance, but you only get one chance to make a first impression. So I think you really have to plan out your launch, and it really does depend on what industry that you're in, and what your product or what your service or what your event or your client or whoever they are.
Jay, she said it's a product. She said her brand is a product. Hey, Latoya, do you mind sharing what type of product is so that we can get a little more drilled down in the response? What type of product do you have, Latoya, if you don't mind sharing?
And it could be general.
Okay, yeah. So Jay, she has a product brand. She says she doesn't mind sharing. She's typing right now, but she has a product.
Okay, so I mean a lot. Well, that's almost an easy one. A product. First of all, have you tested the product? So you have to test your product. You have to have your basic test with your product. Be it if it's hair or skin or nails or whatever. If it's and I'm not trying to.
She said it's hair.
It's hair. Okay. And so if it's hair, I would test the market. I would definitely test the market. I would get testimonies. Who's using it? What do they like? What do they don't? What don't they like? Is there ways to make it better? Because everybody's on the internet. So we all know that bad news travels way faster than good news. So if one person has a bad experience with your brand and they're very vocal about it, the chances are more people will remember that than somebody saying, "Oh my God, this is the best hair product I've ever used." And also, people just tend to share bad news more than good news anyway. So I would just, don't be scared to launch it by any means, because there's such thing called analysis paralysis, So don't overanalyze the situation, but I would get a good core, assessment from folks that's using the product. And there's nothing more powerful than testimonials. So if you do get a couple of people that's using the product, it doesn't even have to be a big celebrity or A-list individual. Just, it could be anybody. But getting them to talk about it, getting a quote from them, getting them on camera, singing the praise of this product, and then make sure that your collateral is tight. Make sure your website is tight. The great thing about a website is that, there's people that work by themselves and for themselves, but you look at their website, you're like, man, God, they must have like 1,000 people working for them. This thing is popping. And man, it'd be one person in some fuzzy slippers at 12 o'clock at night on the computer typing. So your image, what I'm saying, you control your image, and a lot of people skimp on that, so I wouldn't go to your cousin or your nephew that's in high school that says he knows how to design flyers and websites. If he's cutting you a deal and on getting your site or your flyers produced, your postcards produced. Me personally, I just wouldn't skimp on that. I think your branding and your image says a lot about you. So if it's a product, I would say make sure that all your touch points are tight. And your touch points is, it is your social media handles. It is your website. It is your your Instagram, your Snapchat, whatever it is you're doing. I would make it as tight as possible. All your visuals tight, and I would use testimonials as my first wave of launching. You know, but I would just make sure all your branding, all your collaterals, all your visuals are tight, and that you definitely tested your product to a good amount of people, not 5, 10 friends, but a good amount of people, and then I'd hit the go button. I'd hit the go button.
Here's another question, and this is directly related to Angela says she has on her funky slippers right now. But
I'm telling you.
here's another question that's related to what you're talking about. This question comes from Terica. She says, how can you protect yourself from people stealing your ideas?
You can't. You can't. I mean, you could do a poor man copyright or patent where you put something in an envelope and mail it to yourself and you don't open it, which proves that this was your idea on this date, or, but I mean, ideas are stolen every day. So you can't really, you can't. You can't. You can copyright it. You can trademark it. And again, the poor man's copyright, it will stand up in court. But again, more times than not, in speaking with somebody about your idea, your project, busy people are really busy, man. Successful people got a lot going on. So if I'm over here doing festivals and events and doing brand content, and the young lady came to me and asked me about it, a hair care product, and she thought that she had this brilliant idea about it, this hair care product. There's no way in the world I'm going to jump ship from what I'm doing and start doing hair care products. The best thing that I could possibly do is say, you know what, that's an awesome idea. I'd love to be involved with that. I know X, Y, and Z can definitely help. Let me help you connect the dots, and this is our, maybe we negotiate a minimal percentage of the deal, or a partnership or something. But stealing an idea, it's just, I don't think there's a lot of successful people. If you go to someone successful and give them an idea, or tell them, or try to get their advice about an idea, this is just my personal belief. I don't think somebody would turn around and just try to recreate your idea. That takes a lot of effort, a lot of money, especially if it's an industry they know nothing really about. But there's some basic legal things you can do to protect ideas. But if somebody wants to steal your idea, there's bum people out there in this world that do bum stuff, but there's basic legal things you can do to protect yourself. But but for the most part, if somebody truly wants it, they could take it, but I would say 9 times out of 10, a successful person that's great at doing what they're doing in one particular field is not going to jump ship and just try to recreate your idea, no matter how great it is. They'll probably want to partner with you. But also, to protect yourself, at least have some things lined up already. Make it at least appear like the ship has already left the dock. Like you guys are already rolling. Like things is already happening. You got things in the hopper. You got meetings happening. So even if somebody was to try to steal your idea, they would have to play a lot of catch up, and catch up is expensive. So at least have your you know, I would be just raw. Just have your shit together when you talk to certain folks, and let them, and let them think, or at least believe that you're already halfway down the road when you're discussing these ideas. So I wouldn't take a general idea you know that's really kind of raw and open with no form and just present it to somebody. Then yeah, then somebody could possibly take that idea. But I think I think you'll be okay.
All
You
right.
don't hear about it. I don't hear about it often. Just people stealing ideas and running with it. So
All right. So I have Jay. I have questions. The questions are definitely piling in. So here's one. Let me see. I have a few on sponsorships. Okay. So I tell you what, Johnny. Um, I'm gonna let's see if I can unmute your microphone. Johnny, it looks like you have your hand raised there. Johnny, is the microphone muted on your side? Johnny, can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can. Hey, man, what's going on, man? Where are you calling in from?
I'm here in Atlanta. How you doing, Jay?
doing well, man. How you doing, Johnny? Thanks for tuning in.
Good. Thank you so much, AJ.
All right, all right. So go ahead with your question, brother.
Hey there, man. I was just typing. I'm at a really interesting point in my business because I have an art business,
Mhm.
photography, art consulting, that sort of thing. And for the last 2 or 3 years, I've been kind of a solo act and kind of a lone wolf, but successful in what I've been trying to do. But through having a couple of things that I launched and taking an inventory, to your point, realized that there were a couple areas I'm just not strong in. So I need to bring in some people into the fold that are kind of good at those things. But I'm struggling to find good people to partner with. You
Mm.
mentioned earlier kind of pulling people into things. You have standards, like, because I've developed reputation over the years, and I have standards, and it's been
Mhm.
tough kind of just identifying people to work with. So in your
Mm.
experience, Jay, how did you kind of go about identifying who to pull into projects?
Great question, man. Great question. We were just having a conversation about this today. It was a young lady um, named Shalise who worked for V103, and she just worked in radio for, God, Shalise, maybe 20 years. But she is a awesome project manager. And she just recently left. And she and she left radio. She was kind of freelancing, doing her own thing. Then her financial advisor was like, you know what, you need to create an LLC, and just for tax reasons, to protect your business and this money that you're getting in. But she was saying, upon her leaving, she did so much great work. Much like you have a brand and a reputation and name to protect. That upon leaving, CBS Radio, that she got a lot of calls and requests for her to work with other people. Um, and that's actually why she and I were talking. We're actually looking for a project manager of some sort as well. So, but we also may mention that and don't take offense, but in certain industries, like it feels like the talent pool like is not what it should be. Um, and trying to find the right people. Um, so, but I would say the way that we were able to find a lot of folks on on our staff and some of our brand ambassadors, it was once we found maybe one, two, or three solid people, the you almost have to shift. You almost have to delegate the 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 task of being a hunter to them. Um, Meaning, so you may already, I don't know if you work still by yourself, but if you brought if you're working closely with somebody, it has to be somebody in your immediate circle that you admire, that you work with, or that you really trust. Um, and and if you have that person, you then need to tap into their circle and say, well, who within your circle can we sit down with and have a conversation? Or who is it that you know that works in this field that you respect, that has some tenure underneath their belt, or even if it's not somebody in its field, but somebody just has a certain type of mindset and work ethic that you truly admire and respect, and have a conversation with them. And then once you have that conversation with them, if you feel like that doesn't work, don't be afraid to ask for a reference. If this is not your thing, give me a call if you know of somebody that may fit this criteria, because this is the type of person that we're looking for. So many times we get so engulfed and caught up in LinkedIn and Facebook, and and it's so easy to list accolades. But I think it's the personal touch and getting in front of people and having that one-on-one, that exchange, is when you're really going to start feeling out people and finding some of those gems that you can bring into your fold and bring into your business. So if you're not dialoguing and talking to people at least once a day or every other day, and trying to find different folks to kind of bring into your fold, then the fault is really, really on you. Like, you really need to start getting in front of people that you may respect, people that's in your industry that's doing well, or people that have or finding some of these folks that have these certain skill sets that you may not be strong at. But I can almost guarantee at least one or two people that have strong skill sets to where you're lacking. And you need to start tapping into their circles. And then what happens, you tap into, then you just start kind of duplicating those efforts and tapping to that circle and so forth and so on. But I would start with a couple of the other folks that you truly admire already, and then and start getting that engagement, that dialogue going, letting them know what you're looking for, and tapping into their resources.
And Jay, if you don't mind, I wanna piggyback on that one, because I went through that process before I was able to actually grow my team. One of the things that you can start doing, Johnny, is prepare yourself. Well, let me rephrase that. One of the things you can start doing is start identifying the systems that you have in place so that you can document them, so that when somebody starts to work with you, the transition of knowledge is easy, right? And what I mean by that is, I said that I wanted an assistant for years, and I had people come on, and it was so hard because I felt like I needed them to basically take stuff and run with it, right? But it wasn't until I actually got a really good assistant who taught me, like, listen, we're gonna have to get a lot of this stuff out of your head and onto paper, so that I can understand how to do it without having to bother you every 5 or 10 minutes, right? So there are some things that you need assistance with, that you may be able to just document, and you find somebody that can do that one thing, and then that can be something off your plate. But the more stuff that you document, it makes it easier to transition, because you can say, hey, I need somebody to do. You said you're an artist, so there may be very specific things that people can do. And instead of saying I need somebody to work for me, you can say I need a person that can do this one particular thing, and you determine how much it's worth to you, and then you pay for that one thing until you start to identify other things that you can put on their plate. So anyway, just want to share that because that's something that I had to go through, and I thought that can be helpful for you as well. All right. Tell you what, Jay, we have about oh, go ahead, Johnny. I'm sorry.
No, I just wanted to say thank you. That was very helpful from the both of you. Thank you.
Hey, no problem, bro.
Awesome.
I tell you what, Jay, we got so many questions. I'm gonna Christopher has been holding on patiently for a while. So Chris, I'm going to unmute your microphone. Hey, Christopher, are you there?
Yes, I am. Well, how you brothers doing this evening?
Oh, man, we good, man. How you
All
doing?
right, doing well, man.
That's good. That's good. This is
Well, before you start, though, Christopher, where you calling in from?
I'm calling from Atlanta, Georgia.
Okay, cool. All right, go ahead with your question.
We do this event down here, and it has kind of grown organically. And one of our challenges is piquing the interest of major sponsors. So I kind of wanted to ask you gentlemen, what is the best way to pique the interest of a major sponsor to partner with for your event?
What do you have a sponsor in mind that you want to? I mean, you don't have to tell me the brand, but I mean, but do you have a sponsor in mind that you want to go after?
Several sponsors, yes. Liquor sponsors, technology sponsors, watch sponsors, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And the challenge is acquiring the initial audience with them and saying the key words to pique their interest.
Yeah, I would say that is something that we're going to cover. Steve Canal, who actually used to own his own brand marketing agency, who now is a national director with Miller Coors, is going to be one of the guests in our webinar. That's something that he's gonna speak to. Also, Kimball Tom can talk to that as well. He developed some brand marketing platforms for a bunch of different brands. So yeah, there there's certain buzzwords that they do want to hear, and it sounds great when you do pitches, and it looks great in decks, and it looks great in presentations. But honestly, sponsors and brands do business with people that they like. That's what it is at the end of the day. So Rolex and Hublot, they get decks all day, every day. So what's going to make yours stand out and be different? I don't know.
It's really all the relationship.
It is, yeah, it's 99% relationship. So then the next question is, well, how do I get to know these people? How do I get close to them? And that's going to take you back to the day old adage that you got to network, man. You got to get in front of these folks. You got to be where they are. And then with a lot of things that I did when I first started doing my events is I was very, very certain of the type of people I wanted to see at my event. So I had to go where they went, and I had to invite them. I had to personally invite them. So if there's somebody that works for Budweiser or Heineken or whomever, you'll be surprised how easy it is to get people's information. I mean, every major corporation will have some type of office or headquarters in Atlanta. They would have some type of brand ambassador or some field rep or some on or off-premise manager. You need information. You need some emails.
Right.
I would formulate a tight intro. I wouldn't make it lengthy because ain't nobody gonna read all of it. I'm just being real. The visual people. So if you got photos of your event, put in some photos. People having a good time or capturing that moment. Put those photos in your email, a dope little intro, and let them feel like this is not a copy-paste email. This is something specific to you. And I want to invite you to my event. I want you to be my guest. Let me roll out the red carpet for you. Let's have a drink. Tell me some of your initiatives. What are you guys looking to do in the coming years? But, hopefully if we get a chance to work together, great. If not, at least you walk away with a great time and hopefully a memory and a new associate or friend. You know, invite them out to your event, man. You know, get them in front of you. But it's not going to happen with a 30-page PowerPoint presentation and a wishful email. You know what I'm saying? So I would really try to touch these people personally and reach out to them personally, and use your resources. Believe me, if all these the watches, the spirits, the beverages, the technology, they have an office in Atlanta. Walk up in that office, bruh. Really. Walk up to the secretary and says, you know what, who handles like your brand marketing? Is there somebody I would speak with in your office that handles that? Oh, you don't feel comfortable giving me their name or email? Is there a general email address or, you know, something? I mean, I've done that plenty of times. You know, if I didn't have a contact, you know, I'm gonna find a contact. You can play gatekeeper as long as you want, but I'm gonna find a contact, and then reach out to them personally, invite them out, and try to you know, encourage that one-on-one dialogue, and get them in front of your event, get them in front of your people, let them see the value.
Okay. All right. That's good stuff. I most definitely appreciate your time, Jay, and you too, AJ.
Man, I appreciate your question, man. I hope it works out.
All right, thank you, brothers.
All right, Chris, and another thing on the networking, this is actually kind of funny, but there's an app. So if you're going to live events and you have people that are on panels, you can find it challenging to stand out when you're at a live event. Well, there's this app. It's called Refresh, and I've used it to my advantage several times. But the app is Refresh, and what it does is if there's somebody that you want to meet and they have some notoriety, you can put their name in the app, and the app will pull information about the person. LinkedIn just bought it, but basically any blogs that they've written, anything they've been featured on, the app will pull it up right there in front of them. So now you have content that you can strike up a conversation with someone at the bar and say, hey, you know, Jay Carter, I was really interested in what you did with, you know, XYZ. And now you have a question that you're not pitching them, right? Now you're actually establishing rapport, right? And like Jay said earlier, people do business with people that they know, like, and trust. So if you're just another person saying, hey, Jay, I need you to help me grow my event. Jay gets asked that questions a million times a day, right? But if you talk to Jay like, hey man, you know, I saw that you were featured in, you know, XYZ magazine. What was that like? Or, you know, ask him something that he's not getting asked a million times. The app is called Refresh. If you go to refresh.io, you can download the app. Anyway, that's just a little, I'm a IT hack. So that's just a way to shortcut the networking process. So now you don't have to, you know, have this question that people are being asked a million times. You can say, you know, you can talk about something that will make you stand out because you're the person that knows more about a particular person than just asking them to help you. All right. So anyway, just another little small thing. I'll tell you what, Jay, we've been going now a little bit over an hour. We have tons and tons of questions coming up, but I'll tell you what, guys, if this has been helpful, go ahead and type yes in the chat window. If this has been helpful, go ahead and type yes in the chat window. And I see tons of questions now about sponsorship. So let me go ahead and go ahead and address that because Jay has invited, well, first let me introduce the program that Jay Carter is the brainchild behind. This is it's a course, a 4-week course. Starts next Tuesday, so 1 week from right now, you'll get the deep dive session, right? So if you think that you know, you learned something tonight, then wait till you get a chance to do a deep dive session so you can get very specific questions answered as it relates to things. I see the sponsorship question keeps coming up over and over. So let's go ahead and talk about what exactly is making the brand up. Before I go there, if you need help or if you have questions about growing your brand, just go ahead and type in the chat window hey, I want to know more, or I need to know more. So, if you need more information that can help you get your brand out of your idea, out of your head, into reality, just type in the chat window like, man, I would love to learn more. I'm just curious to see. Yep, there we go. I'd love to learn more. Yeah. So if you're ready to take that next step, then here's what we have. So number one, we've changed it up a bit. We had so many questions about sponsorship that we decided to dedicate an entire show, not show, I'm saying show like a scandal, but dedicate an entire training specifically to sponsorships, right? So again, we had one question about sponsors. Jay Carter has some excellent guests that are going to tell you the ins and outs of sponsorship, attracting sponsors, how to pitch sponsors, how do you make sponsorships notice you, right? Activations. What are some of the things that sponsors expect from you once they establish that partnership? And again, this is just a highlighted list, but there's so much more on sponsorship. And because that's such a hot button item, we're going to dive right into it next week. So any questions that you have about sponsorships, if you go ahead and join the course, those will be knocked out in 1 week from tonight. All right. So module 2, we're going to talk about refining your brand. Jay, did you have anything to add to the sponsorships module?
No, but I mean, it will be powerful. It will be powerful. I mean, I don't know how many people on this call know Steve Canal, man, but he's a great friend of mine, man. Worked with him for years, but a truly knowledgeable brother that can give you guys a lot of insight and a lot of light. Beyond being a great friend of mine, I call this guy at least once or twice a week for advice. So he's going to be sharing a lot with you guys. Kimbo Tom, amazing dude as well. He started and owned a brand marketing company for maybe 17 years and was the mastermind behind Master of the Mix, which was basically a huge infomercial for Smirnoff Vodka for 3 seasons. So, and it was a breakthrough concept. It was one of the first and only branded content television shows. These guys are amazing. You guys are gonna love these guys and love what they got to say.
All right. So again, module number 1, that's 1 week from tonight, is going to be all about sponsorships. All right. Module number 2, we're going to talk about refining your brand, design, communicating to your brand, just basically digging deeper, right? And understanding what your brand's language is, your brand's voice, the look, the feel. Even now, and I know Jay referenced this, like, what does your brand smell like? Right? So these are a lot of the details that you should be considering when you're launching your brand. All right. So that's going to be module 2, module 3. So backing up the messaging that you have about your product and service. Is the messaging, is it in sync with what you want it to be, or what the product? You can't have a product that's targeting an audience of millennials, but you're speaking to them in corporate speak, right? So, are you speaking in a voice they understand, understanding your marketing, doing a competitive analysis, and Jay stressed this a little bit earlier, talking to your customers. How do you do a focus group? How do you find people that are outside of your circle that you can run the idea by? So all that's going to be in module 3. Module 4, developing your marketing strategy. That's a very, very big deal. All right. So you need a strategy before, you start marketing, and you can try it on your own, and you can, do trial and error. But what happens is you end up spending a lot of time, and we all know time is money, but you put extra time and effort that you can actually be streamlined on, right? So again, web design, that we're going to touch on that again, and then community involvement. How do you get your brand community engaged and involved, right? So that's module 4. So, and Jay, did you have anything else to add to that one?
No, you hit it on the head. But that's some of the stuff that I probably would concentrate on the most. I'm a very visual guy and an idea guy. So, I just like for things to look and feel a certain way, and certain imagery to exude emotion. So, and I think that's very important when you need to create something that's going to speak for your brand when you can't speak at all. So, be it if it's a photo or an image, a poster, or a website, a post, anything. So, yeah, no, I think that's very powerful, and that goes back to the young lady who asked, when is the right time to launch your brand? I think these components, the things that will be talked about during module 4, will help you a lot.
All right. So right now, do we have any other questions that we have not answered? Are there any questions that we have not answered? I think we're going to take one more question, then we're going to tell you, Jay's going to talk to you a little bit more about the guests. He's already talked about Steve Canal and Kimbo Tom, but he has 2 other spectacular guests who are very knowledgeable in their areas. So any other questions before we continue forward? All right. Yeah. Okay. All right. Cool. All right. So what is making a brand? It's going to be 4 weeks, hour to an hour and a half every night. We probably run to 2 hours, just depending on the questions. How to take your brand from an idea and grow it nationwide. Regular price, $199. But Jay, we wanted to make it affordable. So think about this. You get a 4-week training with 4 experts, and Jay's going to tell you about those in a minute. $79. So if you think about that, you're going to get between 6 to 8, maybe 10 hours of training for $79. That's about $7 an hour. If my math is correct, if we do 2 hours a night for 4 weeks, that's 8 hours. So you're paying, right at, what is that? Okay, $10. You're paying right at $10 an hour. I don't know about you guys. I have my wife, my daughter, and myself. We go to Atlantic Station. We sit down and grab a bite to eat. If I get a beer, my wife gets a glass of wine. That's $79 right there. Right? So again, for less than a date out with your friend, you're going to get a chance to pick the brains of all these people. But before we go, so it says $79 here, but Jay just texted me and said, look, AJ, let's take it down to $69. So again, you can, if you go right now and you visit buy.makingthebrandatl.com, you can purchase the course for $69. So regular price $199, we're giving it to you at a steal for $69. And again, if you do the math on that, that's definitely less than $10 an hour that you're getting. So who are the bonus instructors that Jay has? So Jay, tell them a little bit about Malik.
Oh man, what is there not to say about Malik? Malik is, she's dope. Especially if you're doing anything pertaining to hair and beauty. Malik started a brand called Curlbox. I met Malik at again, you don't know who's around you and who's watching. A friend of mine, close friend of mine, was having a Super Bowl party at his house. There's a bunch of people there. And Malik was over there with a bunch of people turned up. And then she, we wound up in a kitchen area at the same time. And she's like, yeah, I know you are. You're Jay. I said, okay, yeah, cool. So she said, well, I do PR. And she did PR for Travis Barker with the drummer for Blink 182 and a bunch of other folks. But she's amazing at putting together PR campaigns around people and around brands, And she's like, yo, how come you don't have no PR pictures? Like, people don't even know who you are. Like, you don't do anything like PR driven. And I was like, well, that's just not really my personality. I'm cool on that. And she's very over the top. Just go. She's always in go mode. She's like, no, I want to do it. She's like, forget it. I'll do it free. and she's from Inglewood, California. So you already know how she get down. She's like, you know what I'm saying? I'll do it for free. Let me just do it. I mean, you need some PR. Let's do some stuff. Let's work together. And that's really how we started working together. And then and through that relationship, we kept tight, and she always bounced ideas off her. I would always bounce ideas off her. I mean, she would bounce ideas off me, and she came to me one day with this idea about, this subscription-based beauty box, and called Curl Box. And we literally sat down at a table in a restaurant, and she was showing me different sketches and ideas, and I would give her all my input day after day after day. And she launched probably one of the biggest, if not the biggest, subscription-based natural hair care beauty box in a nation, and her brand is ridiculous. She speaks all over the country, and I think she has 1 million some odd followers throughout her entire network. So and my thing for her was, all this awesome stuff that you're doing for all your clients. Suppose you had a brand or something that you believed in personally, and you applied all your power and your resources and your knowledge and your PR excellence into your own brand. Like, what would happen? And that's what birthed Curlbox. And she's a beast. Like, so I mean, she's just a wealth of knowledge. So I encourage you to follow on Instagram. I encourage you to listen to her piece on our webinar, her module on a webinar. And then Shanti Das. I mean, if you're in entertainment, everybody knows Shanti. Shanti is I mean, she's the princess of Atlanta. She's the princess of the music industry. When we were trying to do our movie Chocolate City back when I was in college, it was around the same time that Outkast first came out, and we were trying to get Outkast to be in our movie, and Outkast was signed on The Face. So we came to Atlanta, didn't know anybody. So again, networking, getting in front of people, not taking no for an answer. I didn't know anybody at LaFace. I didn't know nobody in the record industry. But we said we about to walk right up in his office and talk to somebody about getting Outkast in our movie. And then we eventually got in front of Shanti Das. This is the first time I met Shanti. And she was a rep, like the A&R rep for LaFace. And since then, she's went on to, I think she was like VP. She worked directly under Andre Harrell. She was one of the influencers and decision makers behind TLC, Outkast, and in that meeting when we first met with Shanti, trying to get Outkast in our movie, the Shanti was like, I don't know about Outkast. I don't know if that's going to work. You can go for it. But you know what? I'm working with this new young guy that I think could work. I think we can figure something out to get him in a movie. So I got this 13-year-old kid named Usher. So what do you think? Like, here's the thing. I was like, 13? What are we gonna do with a 13-year-old in a movie about black college life? So yeah, lesson learned. We missed that one. But yeah, so she was behind Usher and blowing up Usher, getting him rolling. But Shanti, so I mean, as far as building a brand in an industry, in a male-driven industry like the record industry, she's a wealth of knowledge. She's went on to write like 2 books right now, and she speaks on. I think she's right now touring a college circuit, doing panels and discussions to encourage folks to get more involved with building the brand and how to build the brand. So she's a wealth of knowledge. So you guys are gonna love her as well. So I think between the 4 of them and myself, it's a combined over 80, 90 years of experience and trial and error that you're going to get in a couple of different modules. So, yeah, I definitely think it's worth it. And I think you guys are going to walk away bigger, better, and more powerful.
Absolutely, absolutely. So I have typed in, go ahead guys, it's the URL is www.makingthebrand.com. And again, the course, it says $79 here, but Jay has requested that we take it down to $69. So if you go to the link, it is $69 tonight. Again, you're going to get 4 modules. You're going to get 4 experts plus Jay Carter, and the modules will be recorded. So if if you can't make a night, no worries. We're going to by noon the next day, the modules will be uploaded, and you'll have access to download the modules so that you can listen on anything that you miss. So any other questions? If you think that this training would be helpful to you, just go ahead and type it would be helpful, or type yes, or type hell yeah. Just type it in the chat window. I just want to know how you guys are feeling. If this training has been great, we know, Jay gave away a lot of great information tonight. I see some people have been taking notes. That's awesome too. But we want you guys to invest in yourself. Think about it. You'll spend $69, you'll spend $79, $69, whatever, in a night out. And again, on movies and movies and drinks, right? You go to the movies at Atlantic Station. If you're here in Atlanta, you go to the movies. That's a quick $40 right there. Just okay. Back to the app. It's called refresh.io. refresh.io. All right. But anyway, yeah, guys, go ahead take a chance, invest in yourself. I know I've tricked off $69 on buying beer and hanging out, right? So I think it will be a great investment. If you guys think it will be a great investment, just type great investment in the chat window. Any other questions that you guys have? I'm gonna turn it over here to Jay. Before I do that, I want to thank each and every one of you for taking time out tonight, to check out the training, and I hope that you got something tonight that you can take with you that will help you grow your brand. And if you're ready to go to the next level, go ahead and pay for the course. It's 69 bucks. Thanks to Jay Carter for taking another $10 off for you guys. And that's all I have. And I'll turn it over to Jay for closing words, and then we'll close this thing out, and you guys can go on about your day. Jay?
Well, again, I appreciate it, AJ, and I appreciate everybody that was able to tune in and hopefully, again, as I said earlier, I hope that I was able to take something that could help shine some light or give you some direction in your quest to build your brand and to expand your brand and to grow your business. Being an entrepreneur is it's a tough fraternity, man. It's a tough club, but man, it is so rewarding. So I applaud all of you for being, having the fortitude and the strength and empowering yourself to work for yourself and to create that brand and to build that brand. And some of the greatest brands happened and started, just like this. So encourage each other, lean on each other, ask questions. Don't be scared to reach out to people. Be encouraged and yeah, go forth and hopefully I'll see you guys or you guys can tune in once we kick off the actual session and the modules. So thank you guys again for tuning in. Thank you, AJ, for all your hard work and everything that you do.
All right, guys. Well, again, thank you again for joining, and God bless you. Good night.